Ladies and gentlemen, if you think attraction is about looks, money, or playing games, think again. What truly melts a man's mind isn't how loud you are, but how deeply you understand your power. The way you walk into a room, not begging to be chosen, but radiating the energy that says, "I choose myself first." That's magnetic. This isn't about tricks, it's about truth. And today, I'm going to show you the 9 psychological turn-ons that don't just catch his attention, they keep it. Stay with me. This is the part no one ever tells you. When it comes to attraction, there's something undeniably powerful about the energy of a person who doesn't lay everything out on the table from the start. People tend to chase what they don't fully understand. This doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It means holding back just enough to let curiosity do its work. When you make your life and your energy slightly out of reach, you trigger a man's instinct to pursue. This subtle pull creates tension, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that keeps things exciting. When you're too available, too quickly, it can dull the spark before it even has a chance to ignite. Interest shouldn't feel like a free sample. It should feel like something earned. That doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being deliberate. Let him wonder a little. Let him lean in. We often think that showing someone everything about us early on will help them see how great we are. The truth is, attraction doesn't work that way. When you meet someone new, they should discover you, like peeling layers off an intriguing story. If he knows all your thoughts, plans, and insecurities in the first few conversations, there's nothing left for his imagination to engage with. Mystery isn't about being deceptive. It's about leaving space for discovery. It's the difference between someone who narrates every chapter before it's relevant and someone who allows the plot to unfold naturally. Humans are curious by design, especially when it comes to romance. When you give too much, you remove the sense of pursuit, and without pursuit, connection often stalls. Let the pace breathe. Let silence and space be part of the chemistry. Being intriguing is also about having a life that you don't drop the moment someone enters it. When a man senses that you have your own passions, priorities, and plans, he sees someone who values herself first. This sends a clear message. Your time is valuable and access to you must be earned. So if you drop everything to answer his texts, rearrange your schedule constantly to see him, or spend hours analyzing what he's thinking, you shift the dynamic. Instead of seeing you as someone grounded and selective, he starts to view your attention as easily acquired. That doesn't inspire desire, it invites complacency. If your presence is always guaranteed, it's not exciting, it's expected. Let him feel your absence. Sometimes, let your schedule remain your own. He should wonder where you are, not know where you always will be. There's also a deeper layer to why this dynamic is so powerful. It speaks to your sense of self-worth. When you're not immediately all in, it shows you take your time with emotional investment. That's attractive because it's rooted in emotional maturity. It's not about withholding affection. It's about knowing that not everyone deserves the deepest parts of you right away. When you treat yourself like a prize, others begin to as well, and it's not arrogance, it's standards. You can be kind, warm, and inviting while still being discerning. That contrast is magnetic. When a man sees that you're selective, it challenges him in a healthy way. It makes him step up, not step back. It brings out the best version of him, the one who wants to be worthy of your attention, not entitled to it. The beauty of being slightly out of reach is that it encourages investment. When something feels rare or difficult to access, we naturally value it more. It's basic psychology. Think about how we behave around limited edition items or exclusive events. That energy translates to dating too. When you are constantly available, you unintentionally remove the opportunity for him to invest effort. And effort is what builds emotional attachment. The more someone puts into a connection, the more meaningful it becomes to them. If you shortcut that process by giving everything without boundaries, you actually rob him of the emotional buy-in. Let him call, plan, follow up, let him initiate. That's not about power, it's about creating space for intentional effort. There's also a creative tension that comes from not knowing exactly where someone stands. In that space of ambiguity, desire grows, but it only works when done authentically. You're not pretending to be busy or uninterested, you're simply living your life. You don't over-explain delays in response, you don't fill in every silence, you let the connection breathe, which is what allows attraction to deepen. Men aren't captivated by constant reassurance. They're captivated by contrast. The moments of closeness feel more meaningful when they're not expected. If he doesn't know when he'll see you again, but you make him feel amazing when he does, that unpredictability heightens the emotional experience. It's not about manipulation, it's about rhythm, space, contrast. Part of being intriguing also involves emotional restraint. Not every feeling needs to be voiced in real time. When you hold back a bit, when you don't rush to label everything, you give the bond a chance to unfold at a more natural, magnetic pace. When you stay grounded in your emotions rather than handing them over too quickly, you radiate calm confidence. You create emotional safety without drowning him in intensity. It's attractive when someone seems in control of their emotions, yet open enough to connect. That balance is rare and powerful. You're not suppressing your truth, you're curating your energy. That's an entirely different thing. You're showing that you trust the timing and that patience doesn't mean disinterest, it means strength. Living in your own world is one of the greatest attractors you can have. When you build a life that excites you, a routine that fulfills you, and friendships that uplift you, your world becomes magnetic. A man steps into it, not to complete you, but to experience the joy you already possess. That kind of energy is irresistible. You're not asking someone to be your happiness, you're inviting them to share in it. That shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're not chasing validation, you're sharing value. You become someone who enhances his world, not someone looking to escape her own. And when he sees that light in you, he'll want to be around it, not because you need him, but because he feels inspired by you. Lastly, there's something sensual about restraint. It builds anticipation. You can flirt, connect, and be deeply present while still keeping parts of yourself to yourself. This subtle push-pull dynamic is electric. Every conversation, every touch, every glance becomes more meaningful when it's not guaranteed. If you give everything too quickly, emotionally, physically, energetically, there's nowhere left for the tension to go. But when you hold back just enough to keep the energy charged, it becomes unforgettable. He remembers you not because you were loud or over the top, but because you knew how to leave him wanting more. That's the kind of impression that lingers, the kind that makes someone think about you long after you're gone. True intrigue isn't about withholding who you are, it's about letting someone earn the right to see it. You become the kind of woman whose time feels valuable, whose presence is intentional, and whose affection feels like a gift, not a given. That creates deep, sustainable attraction, not just in the beginning, but over time. The men who are truly worth it, they won't be scared off by your standards. They'll rise to meet them. Because real desire is built on effort, and effort starts when a man feels like he's chasing something rare. Not someone who's already his, but someone who might be if he's willing to show up. Attraction isn't built in the moments when you try to impress someone. It's built in the moments when you show you don't need to. When you approach relationships from a place of grounded self-worth, you stop chasing and start choosing. That subtle shift is everything. When you chase, you send the message that his attention is more valuable than yours. You prioritize his validation over your peace, which not only lowers your energy, but also shifts the power dynamic. A man feels the difference between someone who's trying to win him and someone who's evaluating him. The first is seeking approval, the second is showing confidence. You don't have to beg to be seen. When you hold space for yourself, you give him a reason to lean in. Men don't fall in love with people who bend backward for them. They fall for those who stand tall in their standards. When you challenge a man, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that inspires his best, he wakes up, he steps into effort. Effort is what creates attachment. It's not about being difficult or playing hard to get. It's about being real about your value. You are not there to be a fan of his life. You are a whole person with goals, needs, and desires. You show interest, sure, but you don't abandon your identity in the process. You don't become smaller so he can feel bigger. When you challenge someone with grace, you show that your love must be earned, not expected. There is something quietly powerful about a woman who knows she doesn't need a man to complete her. She's not auditioning for a role in his life. She already has the lead in her own. That kind of presence is rare. It makes people stop and pay attention. She's not moved by empty compliments or generic promises because she knows what depth looks like. She doesn't need a fairy tale. She wants reality, growth, and alignment. That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it tests. A man has to decide if he's ready to rise to that level or walk away. And either response is a gift. Because when you stop chasing, the wrong people leave quickly and the right ones come closer with intention. When you challenge a man emotionally, it forces him to engage on a deeper level. He can't rely on charm or surface-level gestures. He has to actually show up consistently. That's when real connection forms. When you ask questions that matter, speak truths that are grounded, and hold boundaries that are firm, you create a container for real intimacy. You show that this isn't just about flirting or validation. This is about something real. It's not a test, it's an invitation to meet you in a space where honesty is valued more than convenience. That space isn't for everyone, and that's okay. The ones who belong there will recognize it. The rest were never meant to stay. There's a myth that being agreeable is the path to being liked. But being liked and being respected are two different things. When you constantly agree, accommodate, or soften your voice just to avoid discomfort, you might get attention, but not admiration. True respect is earned when you speak from a place of authenticity, even when it's inconvenient. That doesn't mean being argumentative, it means being real. When a man sees that you'll speak your truth, hold your values, and walk away if needed, he realizes you're not just there to please, you're there to partner. That kind of presence is unforgettable. It inspires growth, not passivity. It's not about being cold or distant. In fact, the most powerful challenge comes from a place of warmth. You can be kind and still have standards. You can be affectionate and still be discerning. That balance is where attraction becomes emotional. When you give someone your attention, but not your entire emotional world up front, you give them something to pursue. You let them earn your vulnerability instead of offering it out of fear of losing them. This makes every moment shared feel more meaningful because it came through effort, not obligation. You don't have to build connection through chasing. Connection built through challenge lasts longer and runs deeper. When you don't chase, you allow the natural rhythm of interest to develop. You give him room to pursue, to plan, to invest. This doesn't mean you sit back silently or refuse to engage. It means you match energy instead of forcing momentum. You mirror effort rather than initiating endlessly. That's not a lack of care. It's a practice of emotional self-respect. Relationships that last are built on reciprocity. When you constantly initiate, you rob him of the opportunity to show you how much he's willing to invest. You deserve to know that someone chooses you, not just when it's easy, but when it takes effort. Many people confuse challenge with playing games, but real challenge isn't about manipulation. It's about authenticity. You don't pretend to be uninterested, you are interested, but not blindly so. You show up with a full heart, but also with eyes open. You are willing to care, but only if it's mutual. That's the challenge. It's not a trick, it's a truth. When someone sees that you are willing to walk away from something that doesn't align, it creates a powerful sense of clarity. Not because you threaten them, but because your energy says, I want something real. If you're here for that, let's go. Being a challenge doesn't mean creating unnecessary tension. It means maintaining your identity within the connection. You don't lose yourself in someone else's world. You invite them into yours. You stay committed to your passions, your purpose, your peace. That's the ultimate challenge. To stay full in a world that often tells us to shrink for love. You are not here to shrink. You are here to shine. And when a man sees you fully in your power, it invites him to do the same. Real love doesn't ask for sacrifice of self, it asks for growth of self. The right partner won't be threatened by your standards, he'll be motivated by them. At the end of the day, the people who are truly meant for you won't be scared by your challenge, they'll be inspired by it. Because the right man isn't looking for someone who makes it easy, he's looking for someone who makes it real. He wants the adventure, the effort, the truth. When you stop chasing and start choosing, you put yourself in the position of power. Not power over him, but power within yourself. That kind of presence doesn't beg for love, it attracts it. And not just any love, but the kind that is intentional, grounded, and built to last. Because love that is earned through mutual effort isn't just felt, it's remembered. There is a quiet strength in someone who embraces softness without apology. In a world that often rewards emotional detachment and celebrates the ability to not care, choosing to stay open, expressive, and kind is an act of power. Feminine energy is not about submission or fragility. It's about emotional presence, intuition, and the ability to feel deeply while staying rooted in self-respect. That kind of energy doesn't beg for attention. It naturally draws it in. It creates space for others to drop their walls, to exhale, and to feel seen. It's not loud, but it's unforgettable. When you lead with warmth and compassion, not only do you nurture the connection, you also set the tone. You show that strength can coexist with vulnerability, and that kind of contrast is magnetic. Emotional safety is one of the deepest desires in any romantic connection, and feminine energy creates it with elegance. It doesn't force, it doesn't chase, it receives and reflects. It shows up with calm confidence, inviting rather than demanding closeness. This isn't about being passive, it's about being grounded enough to let things flow rather than trying to control them. There's a difference between being reactive and being responsive. Feminine energy knows the value of stillness, the power of presence. It listens deeply, holds space without trying to fix everything, and understands the unspoken. In that space, attraction grows, not from performance, but from authenticity. That's where real connection is born. That's where desire becomes emotional, not just physical. The myth that softness is weakness has created generations of people who suppress their natural emotional instincts. But when you reclaim those instincts with confidence, you redefine the game. You stop treating your feelings like flaws and start treating them like gifts. Sensitivity becomes a superpower. Empathy becomes your edge. The ability to tune in, to understand what someone needs, to feel the energy of a room, to hold eye contact with presence, is rare. It's not dramatic, it's deeply impactful. That emotional intelligence, when paired with self-awareness, becomes irresistible. Because people aren't just looking for someone who looks good, they're looking for someone who feels good to be around. And emotional warmth creates that feeling effortlessly. Feminine energy doesn't mean you're always soft, it means you know when to soften. It's the ability to read the moment and respond with intuition. You know when to lean in, and you know when to step back. You know when to be playful, when to be nurturing, and when to hold boundaries with grace. That adaptability doesn't come from insecurity, it comes from strength. You aren't trying to be everything to everyone. You are simply rooted in who you are, and you move with intention. You choose your words, your energy, and your presence with care. And that kind of discernment is rare. It signals self-respect. It invites effort, not assumption. It turns attraction into admiration. There's a natural magnetism in someone who isn't trying to compete, perform, or outdo anyone. Feminine energy isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the most aligned. You don't need to dominate to be powerful. You simply need to be authentic. When you radiate peace instead of pushing for control, you shift the entire atmosphere of a conversation. Your presence becomes a sanctuary. People feel calmer around you, not because you're passive, but because you're emotionally in tune. The inner calm draws others in. It speaks louder than volume. It leaves a lasting impression, not through intensity, but through consistency. And it reminds others what real connection feels like. A major part of feminine energy is the ability to receive without guilt. So many people are conditioned to believe they must prove their worth constantly, through accomplishments, through giving, through sacrifice. But true feminine energy knows it is enough simply to be. It doesn't apologize for being desired. It doesn't downplay compliments. It doesn't reject kindness out of fear of looking needy. It welcomes love. It welcomes attention. It allows space to be appreciated without having to earn it through struggle. That kind of grace is powerful. It creates an energy that says, I know I'm worthy, and I'm open to being loved well. That openness is rare, and it transforms the way others interact with you. Feminine energy also expresses itself through creativity, playfulness, and presence in the moment. It's in the laugh that comes from the gut. It's in the way you dance in the kitchen while cooking dinner. It's in the way you listen to music and let it move you. That kind of expression isn't about impressing anyone. It's about being fully alive. And when you're fully alive, you become a magnet. You don't have to sell yourself. You just have to be yourself without shrinking. Your joy becomes contagious. Your presence becomes unforgettable. You become the kind of person who leaves others better than you found them, not through effort, but through essence. That's what makes you stand out. Being in your feminine energy doesn't mean you never take action. It means the action you take is rooted in trust rather than fear. It means you're not chasing outcomes, you're aligning with them. You don't need constant proof of love to feel secure because you trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. That's not weakness, it's mastery. You stop needing guarantees and instead embrace connection as an experience, not a possession. You give love without attachment to outcome. You give love without attachment to outcome. You receive love without fear of loss. And in that balance, you become both peaceful and powerful. That energy is unforgettable. It doesn't demand anything, it inspires everything. Softness becomes seductive when it's paired with certainty. You don't need to pretend to be indifferent to keep someone's attention. Real desire isn't created through distance, it's created through depth. When you're fully present, emotionally available, and still selective with your energy, you create a kind of challenge that feels inviting rather than exhausting. You become the person who can hold a deep conversation and still laugh with ease, who can nurture but also walk away when disrespected. That balance is rare, it's beautiful, and it melts walls that performance never could. Because real feminine energy doesn't try to prove, it simply expresses. The fine-minded people who believe in their self-love, who do, and that kind of expression becomes unforgettable. Attraction that lasts is never about tactics, it's about energy. When you own your softness without shame, when you live in your heart without apology, and when you stay grounded in your worth, you become a force. Not one that overpowers, but one that transforms. Your presence invites others to be better, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Far, without you/it embodying them. You stop trying to be everything and start allowing yourself to be exactly who you are. And in doing so, you naturally attract those who are ready for that level of realness. You don't have to convince them, you just have to stay aligned. Feminine energy isn't weak, it's not fragile, it's not outdated. It's magnetic, powerful, and deeply, deeply needed.